for the League of Legends game, but we have someone new. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everybody. My name's Hera. I'm new here. I've joined this year, and I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely wonderful. So yes, well, let me ask, Hera, how much do you know about League of Legends?
Not at all. I know the name. I know that it exists. I know of it.
Yeah, that's about all of us. So we'll be scuffily explaining what you see and how we interpret the gameplay of tonight's stream. But of course, as always, we are here to make sure it is entertaining for the viewer to watch and also have a wonderful time watching as well. But more importantly, let's talk a little bit about our team tonight since this is their moment to shine. We have a wonderful roster here for the League of Legends team, and as we wait for the game to actually start, let's run through our players of this season. We're going to start from the closest over to us from the facility camera. We have the Almighty, also known as LeBron, our top laner, a wonderful player, very consistent, very strong player for us. Next up, we have Ribeiro playing as the jungler. They are very proficient at keeping up with the game recently. They have excelled, they have grown and gotten far better, and we've seen so much improvement from him. And of course, in the center, we have Highway, also known as their coach. They have been kind of the anchor, the cornerstone of the team, making sure the whole team has understood what they're meant to be doing, and they have been doing excellently at it because our team has been playing absolutely wonderfully. In fact, we are on a winning streak of 5 in a row. Yes, there may have been a few forfeits in there, but overall, we have not lost it in this season yet, and hopefully we will finish it out with a complete wipe on in our division. But next up is, of course, Lynette, also known as Megan in the game. In the game, they uh are a very strong bottom laner alongside Gale, normally as the support. The two of them in bottom lane play very well together, and they function as a very solid team. But with that being said, I think it is time that we make our way into the actual game. All right. So, are you familiar with Moibas, Hera, and how they kind of function?
No, you're gonna have to fill me in on that one.
Okay, so in a small explanation here, keeping it brief and short. Essentially, we've got our three lanes, and the biggest things to be aware of in these kind of games is how you play through because it's as if there's three individual games going on, and then they cross in during the mid game and late game. So essentially, your goal is to win your current lane, and if you're losing your lane, you're trying to improve yourself to become strong enough to win your lane. And in order to do that, there are multiple ways of doing that, such as farming for money, eliminating the wave, which is the minions, and and buying up items to make yourself stronger, alongside the level that you are, which you gain from fighting, winning, all of that jazz. And then, of course, that is kind of the big ticket idea, but more importantly, the inner, like individually, each lane has a different kind of role being played. We have the top laner, which is more of like a tank of sorts. The mid lane, which is more a solid groundwork that's kind of meant to be either winning or losing, not really necessarily um a absolutely crucial lane, but it's a sorry, let me reword that. It is a very important lane because it's the shortest path since it's the middle path. So the player there it's required to really make sure that that lane is either secured or they're dominating there. So it's very important. And of course, the bottom lane is the one lane with two players that acts as kind of a lane to fill in the gaps, be more of a push lane. And finally, the jungler, who really focuses on swapping between these lanes, making sure the lanes are effectively on our side, winning for us.
Okay.
And that's basically the high and dry of it. Everything else is beyond me. And we begin by explaining a little bit more about what our position is here. Point Park University is on the blue team this time, so they'll be on the bottom end. And on top of that, it looks like from the visuals here, Point Park. Oh, how can I forget? Ooh, wait. Unfortunately, the first blood going to what I was going to about to say, Mid American Christian, which is the school that we're going up against. We're just going to refer to them as MAC here, but unfortunately, it does look like MAC did get the first elimination. I believe that was from the bottom lane here. So, as kind of a reflection from the last match we had, one of the big things that I noticed was we were kind of not necessarily struggling to win our lanes, but more so our lanes were more weren't as guaranteed as they have been. So the enemy has been getting better at combating us, especially in our winning streak. It is important. I imagine the enemy team definitely has done their research up against us, especially since of how we have been placing, how we are doing. And with that being said, Point Park, we've gotten stronger, and we've had to change the way we play a lot recently. So right now, I really want to see Point Park really adapt and grow from that, I guess, quote unquote, struggle that we had last game. Let's focus a little bit more on the top lane here. I do notice that the top lane is the usual stalemate, but how do you feel about the mid and bottom lane here?
I mean, from what I can understand and what I can tell, and from what you've explained, I mean, we're looking good. I mean, we're making forward progress. It's not just based off the mini map there. It's not a one-sided battle here. It's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're if nothing else, we're standing our ground and we're digging our heels in deep. Um, and not just giving in, which given a 6-0 win streak right now, or a 5-0, I apologize, win streak right now, um, it's that is starting to definitely show to me even within these first couple
Mm-hmm.
minutes.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's not that we're losing on any of our lanes right now in the current game, especially since right now is basically the most crucial part of starting off strong. Obviously, it's the early game. We need to make sure we have a presence, some sort of pressure, which is one of the biggest things I've learned about this game through casting is which pressure is so important to have and maintain keeping consistent. There's 3 lanes for a reason. Every time a lane is on your side, that essentially means it's more for the enemy team to worry about.
Okay.
And normally, which is why the top lane is so just kind of stalemating, leaving only 2 lanes to really focus on.
Yeah.
But with that being said, and
And there we
Ribeiro
go.
being able to find a kill on our enemy player there, I believe. The death counters are too fast right now for me to figure out which one that was. The bird! The bird got eliminated. Galio, it looks like, the mid lane here, and it also seems like Ribeiro is fighting heavily in the mid lane, here to support our highway, which is the usual scheme that Ribeiro plays here, especially with playing in the more bottom end of the map, just to support both highway and then of course Gale and Soap and Megan at the bottom lane. So it's a very important with that. At, and with that being said, that doesn't necessarily mean that our mid lane is struggling at all. a big thing that we have to know. Ooh, and Point Park
we go.
was able to get the first dragon there, which is going to be very big for us. That's something I completely kind of forgot about for a second. But now that we've just gotten our first sight on that, that looks really good for Point Park, already being able to split off a little bit and focus more on the, I guess, meta parts of this game, the more thinking ahead aspects,
Mhm.
especially with the fact that we aren't necessarily losing or winning any of our lanes. But with that being said, since we're not winning on any of our lanes, we need to focus on getting stronger. And
Yeah.
as I referred to earlier, the idea to get stronger is to farm and um, get and eliminate the like jungle enemies or even clearing the wave.
Mhm.
But put it together. If you're not on the lane, what's going to happen on that lane?
You're just gonna get it taken over. Yeah.
Exactly. So what is the purpose? So you have to find those times to be able to really branch out of your own lane comfortably and then come back without losing that much progress, which is why you must push forward. Then you spread out, get your jungle eliminations, and then come back once, which is post the enemy team pushing back from what you already taken over. So it's
Yeah.
not as if they really took any um advantage over you, which is
Mhm.
very good. On another hand, here though, Almighty and their enemy top laner does seem to be still much more of a stalemate here, but maybe we might be seeing the first elimination on the top lane here.
Oh, that was a good hit.
Ooh, a good stun.
Getting him
Oh
in the
no, and
corner.
getting ambushed. You're gonna be cornered here. Hopefully, Almighty's going to be able to pull through on this one. I believe that is the
Oh,
enemy
really? All
team's
Mighty has to do
jungler
is
coming in to
either.
save the day, and unfortunately, very close.
Oh,
Almighty's low health does not get
oh,
the kill before getting eliminated. The top lane does go to the MAC University. That is unfortunate. Ew, apologies. Ugh.
a
Uh,
valiant fight put up there by the
yeah.
Almighty. From what I could just tell, very very stressful.
Yeah, that is actually so unfortunate for us, especially since that our top lane being such a kind of un un unfocused part of the match, and it just meant to be kind of there for a stalemate.
Mm,
It does kind of it is kind of interesting though to see that the enemy team's jungler decided the best scenario, the best lane to come up in a support was the top lane,
mm,
meaning that our mid and bottom lane have a really strong advantage here right now because they are able to push without that worry since we know that the top lane is being handled by the jungler.
mm. This is a very interesting dynamic of back and forth and
Hmm.
very just strategic. Kind of keeping your head in the mindset of it's not so much a loss so long as you lose nothing in the
Exactly,
end.
as long as you take advantage of what you can during those losses.
Mm,
And with that being said, it does, unfortunately, right now, it does feel more of a. Well, with that being said, as a caster, the closer the game is, the more interesting it'll be. So it is a very close game right now. It does feel a lot more. Well, obviously, this is the final. We're very much playing through as if this was our final. This is a very strong match right now.
mm.
Ooh, but this
That
might
was
be a possibility.
big hit.
Unfortunately,
First race.
again.
Wow.
Again.
Another conflict ended in bloodshed.
Now, with that being said, this consistency, this repetitive nature of the jungler coming up to support the top lane, which means that Point Park University should at least catch on to that pattern of
Mm,
sorts and start focusing on really taking advantage of these mid and bottom lanes since they know for a fact that the top lane is going to be protected 9 times out of 10 by the jungler.
yeah.
But with that being said, the jungler has gone down to the mid lane, started attacking our highway here, which is unfortunate.
Luckily,
And
though, they do seem outnumbered
mhm.
2-1 there. Uh, yeah, but as
Ooh, might
building
be
upon
able to
what you
get a
were
pick on
saying.
her.
Oh,
Oh, pulled out the ultimate and
oh,
also gets ambushed by not one but two of Mac's players there, getting cornered and
That is
eliminated.
rough.
Mid-Atlantic really taking over this first half of the game, which is really nerve-wracking. They're going to be able to collect not only the dragon, but also previously, I hadn't mentioned it, but they did get the grubs, which is not looking great for Point Park whatsoever. We are losing that pressure that I was talking so highly of earlier, where we had to get the pressure before they were able to push. And it all started with the jungler playing the enemy jungler. I must actually give him a name. Entio. I'm going to just say Ent. And being able to really take control of that top lane, giving them that pressure for Point Park to have to play out off of, turning into more of a reactive standpoint, which is...
And there we go. We got an elimination for
That is good.
Point Park. There we go. Let's see if we can get that back on
Exactly.
a good streak here.
That does slow them down just a tad bit, enough for us to hopefully be able to push our way through, take some control again. Bottom lane we haven't talked much of, but it does seem, thankfully right now, our bottom lane has not really been affected too much. It's been still a stalemate, which, with that being said, it is a little nerve-wracking to see the fact that there's no real push happening in any of our lanes, and with that being said, it's more of the top lane really deciding that pressure, as I said before. But we're in 14 minutes in now, and this is what Point Park is looking like right now. One perspective of it right now is we are losing the early game, which is obviously not good for us, and a lot of thought if you think about it. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. The initial thought is, an elimination by Megan, being able to get that, stop that initial push from Mac. And now they'll be able to push up on that lane, which is really good. Point Park's Almighty, again, struggling really to control that top lane, not because they're losing against the top lane, but because they keep getting ambushed when they're about to win. So I imagine the enemy team at Max University's communication is really strong right now.
Yeah.
They're really able to make sure they make sure they know which lane really needs that help, especially with the assistance from their enemy team. The enemy team's jungler really just going back and forth. And the big thing here is we're starting off on the wrong foot. It's and on top of that, Mac is eliminating the Herald on the top jungle there, which does mean that they are looking good with both of these side objectives, going to be able to push really heavily on one of these lanes, which might offset a lot of the things they did. Point Park did try to steal it, and there's going to be a big brawl here where the rift is. The first elimination, No Brains getting first elimination on this fight. And another elimination on Megan, getting caught by the big
Almighty might be coming down again. There's
Almighty.
But then Point Park shutting down No Brains there, bringing the score from a whopping 3-4 now to a 4-7. Which went from a one kill difference to now a 3-kill difference, which, given the fact that they that early game, like you were saying, wasn't so strong, now only sets them back just that much farther. My own, as I'm starting to watch a little more and understand a little more, I am drawing this back to Battlefront and Battlefront 2 games I played whenever I was younger and even still today. And those games, for those who have played, very similar to this in the fact that you need to capture command posts if you're on the offensive side and need to defend said command posts on the defensive side. This is obviously much more fluid, and depending on whether or not you're on the back foot, you can be defensive or offensive. And some of your team can be offensive, some of your team can be defensive. That's become very obvious. And just very just different strategies showing up in this game and this game and Battlefront that I'm seeing ties to.
And
Um,
no brains getting an elimination on the Almighty there. It does seem like Mac University has started to, I imagine, let me visually see this. Yep, it's very much apparent. Right now, we do see the top lanes. Mac, no brains, has been getting a bit fed here, meaning that it's going to be really hard for the Almighty to be able to keep control of that top lane, which does give Mac a really strong advantage on the top lane, giving them an entire lane essentially pressuring Point Park. And with that being said, Point Park not giving up just yet. We are going to attack this next dragon. Does give it to us during their. I mean, I believe that occurred because of the little the summon of the Rift Herald by Mac
oh my god,
University.
3 jumping on.
Ooh,
Wow,
and
that was brutal to watch.
there it ends.
And we do see a reclamation of that top lane there. With No Brains after being eliminated, having lost that foothold going farther down, and great to see that for Point Park.
Genuinely, I think the thing we need to start recognizing here, though, is that we haven't fallen just yet. There is still a very big there is an opening for Point Park to be able to pull themselves together. The one big thing that Mac has over us is that pressure that they've started to build and made it and essentially has made it really difficult for us to push ourselves back. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we've already lost this match just yet. There's one big token that we need to start applying to really push ourselves, hopefully on par and keep up and excel past them. Mac University has been focused so much on really pushing down on our lanes and eliminating our players essentially, or at least pushing our players back from being able to really protect our lanes, which means that they have been leveling up. They haven't actually been leveling up as fast as a really strong team that we would have to go up against would.
Yeah.
Meaning that their scaling is not as big as it seems. Point Park still has that ability to scale faster than them, and start farming, hopefully being able to scale faster than they are, because they are only really scaling because they've been getting these eliminations on us and also really just pushing on the lanes themselves. So if Point Park is able to find that way to really start scaling faster, we'll actually have the advantage because they have some pressure over us right now, but that pressure isn't really backed up by anything.
We just got another kill. Galio. Don't know where the
Galio, maybe?
the
Gal
Galio. Okay.
Galio. Ah, okay. But yes, it does seem like, oh, I think the bottom lane's tower has just been destroyed by our team here. Thankfully, Ribeiro getting that moment. But with that being said, our mid lane is being pushed up on by Mac University. And of course, our top lane still struggling a little bit because of that fed no brains, making it extremely difficult for the Almighty to really be able to push anything or make anything out of it, which essentially means the top lane is really hard for us to control unless if we have another player that helps support the Almighty.
Yeah, we do
But
seem to be like you just said. We do seem to be holding that mid lane very well. I've been paying a lot of attention to that little mini map there and seeing a very little progression from the red team into our own territory there.
Ooh,
It
and
is that
hopefully,
top lane where we keep struggling.
and I hope to see maybe a team group up on the top
Oh,
lane. It does seem like
might need
No
to
Brains
eat my
noticed
words
that.
here.
No Brains did notice that and pulled back a little bit here. Per usual. Okay. Now that we've gotten further into the match, and I said before, it's big on the scaling portion right now if Point Park can start growing fast enough to catch up. We haven't really lost our footing just yet. We are very close, actually. If you look at the top, our economy, we're at 838K. They're at 39K, with give or take, which means that we still are extremely close to them. And we have been scaling fast enough to keep up, which means we just need to set it off just enough to be able to start getting get at least catching up and getting ahead.
Yeah.
So it's still anyone's game. Point Park still has that ability, and I hope that they haven't lost hope just yet. This is the final, so I imagine they definitely have not. They are focused entirely on getting this W. And right now, what we're going to be seeing is they're going to be attacking the Baron here. I think they had to pull back a little bit because it does.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's moving as a big squad here.
Oh, I think I see what is happening now. They are all bum rushing it over to the dragon, attempting their best to eliminate it. Meanwhile, Point Park is going to focus on pushing down on the mid lane because that has been our best lane so far. We got exactly what's going to happen. They're going to focus on
coming
getting
up on their behind, but blue team seems to be boogieing on out of there. Point Park might just have this in the bag.
And this is a big brawl for us now. Here it goes. The first elimination goes to Ribeiro. Looking great. Another elimination. And Point Park is doing wonderfully on this.
Wow.
Might get another
full team sweep.
Ooh, and that is
brains and exiled mechs on the run.
And this is exactly what we needed to see from Point Park University. We're pushing. We're going to keep on going. Ribeiro getting another elimination, really being fed here, getting up ahead. And this is exactly what I was waiting for, the moment for Point Park to really take advantage of the fact that they have not actually been pressured by a strong team just yet. And that gave us the opportunity to really push into the mid lane, especially when the enemy team, MACU University, decided that they would put all their eggs in one basket in an attempt to get that dragon. And that gave us that opportunity to really just push forward. And now look at us. Look at us. We basically said no to that pressure that they had. And as I said before, they had pressure, but it wasn't backed up by anything strong. So all Point Park needed to do is find that opportunity, find that moment to really push up ahead against them and essentially punish them for how they've been playing. And that was the moment that we were waiting for. That big team fight that really showed that Point Park wasn't actually that far behind.
Yeah. They went from a 3-point deficit but 10 minutes ago to now a 3-point gain. And such a huge step forward for them, seeing them get right up on enemy lines, and taking advantage of that, may I watch my words here, but greed from MACU with that dragon, all, like you said, going in all eggs in one basket, leaving themselves open for that.
Exactly.
And getting caught off guard.
Ooh, no brains getting caught.
And no brains getting a little taste of his own medicine, may I just say.
That is very much true, and of course,
I can only imagine the Almighty is feeling a little bit of relief there.
Yeah. Of course, the Baron's going to be ticked down, slowly getting eliminated here. Meanwhile, it does look like MAC University is going to try to come in. Maybe they might try to steal it, but hopefully Point Park's going to be smart enough to not let that happen. Going to be pushing that. Thankfully, Point Park does get the elimination on the Baron. Oof. It does look like a team recall here. Very important to understand that. Oh, I'm so happy. That was a very, very smart play from Point Park. Really took advantage of MAC University, and I like what you said there. MAC University's greed, especially. And with that pressure that we essentially built on the mid lane, I think I would say that probably balanced out the pressure that they had on us.
Absolutely. Even just looking at the numbers here, Point Park's was down in leveling about an average of maybe 1 or 2 levels. And MACU really holding that upper hand. After that has not only evened the playing field, but even put Point Park. Try and say that 5 times fast, right? Put Point Park up. I'm trying my best here. Up with that upper hand. And now is really even that playing field for their own benefit. And I think that will truly show here in the next couple minutes.
I agree on that point. And I'd also like to mention the enemy team, Mac University's lane switch up. No longer are we seeing No Brains playing up top lane, holding it, and now we are seeing instead Galio playing up at that top lane and really making Almighty fight for that top lane, unfortunately. But with that being said, now that we have that control over mid lane, Point Park has the freedom to really play more how they usually play, where they focus on getting strong enough to really just deny the enemy team any opportunity, which is their focus rather than just trying to push forward with the pressure that they already have, which is essentially in another way of explaining it, they play the long con game.
Yeah.
And that is a big thing that Point Park has started working on with this new season, where they focus more on having a strong, becoming strong enough to really just say no.
Mhm.
And I think that might be all thanks to the wise coaching of Highway, especially with the 4 years of being in Point Park. Highway, also known as Jacob, he's one of the seniors of this team. This is his final. This is the first time League of Legends actually making it into the finale. It is a big moment, and I think it's really showing Highway's strategic mind coming into play here.
Absolutely. We are seeing a huge push in that mid lane, and a huge rush down from Galio in
Mhm.
that top lane. But that mid lane is really just holding the red team up against their own spawn.
Mhm.
Um, and honestly, that's a huge step forward from holding everyone in the middle and just kind of having a net zero gain to now having such a huge lead in that middle.
Mhm.
Um,
I like how you mentioned that too, especially since I just noticed, and I think you noticed it too, which is why you mentioned it. It's just, it looks like Mac is so worried about that mid lane that they've slowed it tremendously on the uh the growth of their team,
mm.
focusing so much on defense rather
Oh,
than
Galio might be going
offense.
down. There you go.
Ooh, getting getting ambushed and
Oh,
might
but
be
they
able
might
to
return
make
the
it.
favor.
Yeah. Thankfully. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Highway just absolutely
Wow.
eliminating that one while also running back. Wow, look at that. All right, another big fight here. Going to have to run as fast as they can. It does
No Brains
look
pulling them back
like
in.
No Brains is going to just deny that one. Unfortunately, Point Park
Wow, but
is
that
going to
did
be
cost
focusing on
them
that.
3 of their players, and that only cost us one.
That
So
is
now they
true.
are outnumbered 2-1 here. If Point Park is watching those numbers, they're going to be making a rush, as they are doing right now. 3 in the top lane, 1 in the center.
Mhm.
Let's see what they can do with this.
Yeah. And honestly, and I would say in terms of possibly chess, um, we just sacrificed a pawn for basically a tower. I mean, a rook and a knight.
Mm,
That's basically what we just did. And I think personally that was a continuous wonderful play by Point Park.
absolutely.
And from what originally started off as a worrying match for the casters to watch here, turned up 4 Point Park, and we are looking absolutely wonderful right now.
Absolutely. Now in a 6-point lead with against MACU here. Um, it's just incredible to watch them again as a first time watcher of even this game, and now Point Park. This is truly just something spectacular. Uh, and especially in such a high stakes game here, they are really holding their nerve,
Hmm.
not letting it get to them, and you can see that in the way they've been playing. That it hasn't been getting to them, and they've only been getting stronger as the game's been going on.
That is true, and I'm glad I haven't had to mention it, but it does feel like Point Park now. The moment that they caught up and started getting that advantage, their
Fantastic
focus
job,
hadn't
River.
changed. Their focus hadn't changed from what's the word? Their focus hadn't changed from uh creating that pressure onto just pushing forward. They've continued to focus on getting stronger and having that really strong foundation to work off of. And
Absolutely.
that really has helped us really maintain our advantage, because it is possible for Mac University to pull themselves out of this. All they have to do is figure out the opportunity that Point Park will hopefully won't, but could give them. Oh, and on
Wow.
that being said, Point Park did lose that Baron there, unfortunately, getting
Even still, this might turn
stolen
into a
by.
large brawl here. We got both the teams meeting in this middle lane, but blue team pushing them back. Red really retreating back into their spawn point.
Big
That is
denial
insane.
point. That is very unfortunate for Point Park University. Max stealing that one. That probably would have been a very big moment for Point Park to be able to collect that. Oh, apologies. Really being able to get that Baron, giving them the strength to probably push once again, especially how that works. But unfortunately.
Absolutely. But they definitely saw that and decided to take out their revenge, and they made them pay for that steal.
Mhm.
That they are now pushed back to those steps, and they are not moving very far from them.
I agree. And something we need to address here, Point Park must start realizing, as I was saying before, Mac University needs to find Point Park's weakness, what the moment that Point Park is going to let loose and allow Mac University to get up ahead of over them. And I fear that Point Park might make the mistake of focusing so much on preventing Mac University from being able to go anywhere, especially as we keep mentioning, Mac University just sits there at mid lane. But if all of Point Park University is holding that and making sure they can't move, no one's actually growing.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to spread our team out, but also don't allow our team to get ambushed, because it is still possible for Mac University to pick us off one by one, which is kind of the idea that Mac University needs to find those ones up against us. And that becomes kind of like, what is the word? How do I explain this? In a way, it's kind of as if once you get that power, you become more arrogant.
Yes.
You become more self-sufficient. But with that being said, self-sufficiency means that you tend to be more on your own, more likely to play by yourself. But
we are seeing no Brains getting ambushed here.
That is true.
Perhaps from
all of Point Park. Oh, wow, look at that.
That
really
was
just
a swarm of wasps.
Wow. And honestly, what I was going to finish saying was that is the fear that Point Park will spread apart and allow Mac University to get those ones. But honestly, I don't think Point Park University is going to allow that to happen. They're going to do the complete opposite.
They seem to really be keeping up that communication. That's even just seeing,
that is so true.
See in their game style that both Point Park is keeping up that rigid communication, and MACU is not really sure how to respond to it. Each person seems to be acting on their own individual strengths, which seemed good in the early game, and that gave them that lead. But now that they are pushed back so far and so strong, it is now time for them to really
this
lock
big
in.
2-on-2 here, getting that elimination, very crucial. Might be able to get another one.
Time getting very deep inside of the zone.
Oh my goodness, the aggression that we're seeing here, pushing all the way to the spawn. We're now working our way through.
22-9 Point Park in the supreme lead.
Ribeiro getting an ace there.
All 5 Point Park players alive and well, healthy and happy, moving right in towards the center of the red zone.
Shall be put down. Point Park University taking home the first round of the finals. That is great to see. I am so happy from the beginning of that match. That was very nerve-wracking, especially how that started.
Absolutely.
And then pulling our way through and making it work at the end there. I think that was wonderful play by Point Park, especially with how we saw that. Point Park University, I think with that round, actually, I want to say the MVP there, though, was Birbiro's 15 kills.
Absolutely. That was those were huge numbers put up. Incredible gameplay by Point Park. All of them should be proud of themselves. That was a lot of pressure to be have on their shoulders, and may they do well in the next rounds.
That is true. All right. Well, we'll continue talking about the game and so forth. In a little bit, we're going to take a little bit of a break while our League of Legends team also takes that small break. But thankfully, we are going into the second round with the advantage I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned. It was Keiko.
And Hera.
Thank you so much. We'll be back in a moment. Our director's actually not here right now, so we're going to
So
just.
how are you guys doing tonight?
Actually, you know what? Let's talk a little bit. Hera, how do you feel? This is your first time casting. It's very interesting.
Definitely felt the nerves walking in. Not only from the team, obviously, it's a big game, but also just from me. This is
Of
my
course.
first time casting since high school.
Right.
And especially on something I don't know, and really only knew by name.
Of course.
And getting to learn this through such a spectacular game, really just a fantastic opportunity. I'm so glad to be here. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. This has just been fantastic. Hello, thank you for the zooming in. And it's just great to be here. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad, and I'm glad that you're here. Well, thank you so much. We'll be back in a moment. We'll take this little break, and we'll see you in round 2 with Point Park University up ahead. Goodbye. Hello, and welcome back. The smiles are big. We've got a cool guy over here. We're looking really good. Point Park University got the first round win, which is looking great for us. And so far, hopefully, we'll continue this on into the second round and hopefully get the W, taking home League of Legends' first ever victory of the season, or just an overall. Let me specify that actually. How do you feel, Hera, being here with us?
This is exciting. This is again, as we've been saying all through last match, and I feel like we're gonna keep saying it. It's high stakes. It's every man for himself. In it seems intense. It seems intense, and you can even from our cozy little announcing booth here, you can really feel that tension, seeping in from out there. Uh, but the players seem really hyped. Everybody seems ready to go. Everyone seems ready to wrap up this second round, call a victory a win, and head home for the night.
I like that. I like that. Well, let's pull ourselves into the game. But as that's happening and we're in the early game, now that we can focus more on just like kind of getting y'all caught up with what our player is, what our players are here, especially since what a wonderful first round. And just before we even really talk about that, let's one thing I want to make sure, and hopefully we see more of this coming up round, is a change in dynamic, especially in that early game being really close, and we had to actually pull ourselves out from underneath MAC University. I hope this time around we really focus on securing our lanes and not allowing those consistent ambushes from the top lane to really take us over.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as we're talking about the players here, please keep an eye on the game and realize and hopefully you will be able to watch with us just exactly when those things happen. But honestly, big shout out to Ribeiro that last match, getting those 15 eliminations. So I would like to say this is a little bit behind, obviously, because this match, and then on top of that, maybe the couple of earlier ones. But what we were seeing from Ribeiro is actually really immaculate here. His total kills of the season so far is 41 plus the 15 that he got earlier, and so on forth. That's 56 eliminations throughout this season, which is actually extremely impressive. A very consistent player, very strong at basically being the character or being the player that really escalates the game, scales to the point where they're a house, they are a tank, and very difficult to fend off by yourself. On another note, and something that I would like to mention, we have two seniors on this team. Ribeiro is actually one of them, playing extremely well last match, and I'm hoping continuing it on to this one. But yeah, just honestly, it visually what we've been seeing is such a great play from these players, and I think that one of the big things we need to recognize is that seniority, their ability. This is their last match ever. And it's really nice to see that right now we're looking great, and Point Park seniors here are
Yeah.
really throwing it out.
We're seeing some strengths here early game. We're seeing a lot of rushing, a lot of teaming up, and making sure that everybody's covered. Um, the top and bottom lanes now each holding two of our players. And that middle lane now holding one, which is a bit of a different strategy. But I can definitely see already that MACU got definitely switched up their strategy and had a bit of a talk in between matches.
Of course. And I also like to think I also like to mention something that we didn't really get to see much of. Our other senior, who is Highway, they are anonymous in the game though, so they're actually currently playing Ari. So the but as the coach and also the senior there, he is also extremely invested in this. This is the final. He also wants to do really well, and I'm hoping this time, and what I overheard while they were picking through the draft, they wanted Ari to get the opportunity to really have a really strong chance in the mid lane this time, because last match going up against Galley, was really difficult for Highway. So hopefully this time around it will be a lot easier to really take control this time. But with that being said, Highway has is also extremely strong on kills wise, very strong player at 37 according to the stat sheet, which is extremely good. Also one of the higher ones up there. And with that being said, Point Park University's overall total kills of this season is 164.
Which is shocking.
That is
That is a
actually really
lot.
cool. A lot of eliminations. And with that being said, that's only the amount due to the fact that we also had a lot of forfeits in this match. So this number could have been far higher. We're already starting off, getting in the working up on that dragon. Point Park elimination. Eliminated the dragon. Essentially stole that one from Mac University. Looking great starting off here. Unfortunately, though, did return with a first blood from Mac. But yeah, I honestly the stats show it themselves. Point Park University has been absolutely wiping the floor this season, and hopefully continues it on in this finale, really taking home a undefeated win streak of 6-0.
Yeah. The numbers aren't gonna lie, and they certainly haven't yet. Point Park was in this predicament last time where they are already now in the 1 point deficit. And I can only assume based off last game and based off the numbers in front of me that they're going to build back and we're going to see a Point Park victory by the end of this round. Don't be placing bets on my word because I will not be paying you back if I'm wrong.
Oh, really? Something that you mentioned earlier, and I want to continue to address, is that one of the big struggles for us our last round was really losing our control on the top lane because of the consistent push from Mac University's jungler and the top lane, really making it difficult for the Almighty to really hold their place there. But what we saw a little bit ago was actually Point Park University adapting to that and actually having some sort of acknowledgement that that might happen. So they, in that initial fight there, they did actually ambush the top lane Mid Atlantics or Mac University, and hopefully we continue to see that what was the word? Anti-ambush kind of method there, especially since that was the big thing that made it difficult for Almighty to really control that spot. But with that being said, I'm hoping that doesn't mean Point Parks allocates essentially all their team to protecting that top lane, or at least because more importantly, the thing is our jungler needs to be able to freely roam through the lanes and be able to also level up. And if they don't have that opportunity and someone really needs that hand carry from Ribeiro, then Ribeiro can't actually scale. Ooh, an elimination on Akali? Yeah, something like that?
Akali?
Akali? Akil? I want to say Akil. Akali? Akali. An elimination on Akali by Highway. Nice work there. Really does mean that our mid lane might be starting to look really nice. Of course, our bottom lane this time is looking really nice.
Something I am noticing, even just looking at the minimap, watching all these little red and blue circles wandering around, MACU seems to really be way more spread out. It's a lot less of a focus attack, far more. They seem much more on their own. It doesn't really seem like. It either seems like they're going for the same strategy as last time, seeing as No Brains is still rushing the top lane, or they are just working as single units, which obviously this seems a very team-based game. You want to stay the more numbers the better,
right?
And that just seems like something they're not taking advantage of, especially in this early game where nobody's super strong just yet.
Ooh, and maybe possibly an ambush from Ribeiro, unfortunately, though. No
fall back.
Brains was able to dash out of that one. It does look like a swap in kind of how that top lane's being played. No Brains usually was the one with that support really handing it to Almighty, but this time around we're switching it up. The Almighty getting supported by, thankfully, our jungler Rabiro every now and then. Hopefully that they're able to catch No Brains off guard just enough to be able to at least take advantage of that. It does seem like No Brains does have some brain.
It does look like Almighty's getting support from Ribero, and it
Ooh,
seems like they're going in for the
and here it
forward
is, a
attack
big
there.
fight here. Maybe might be able to get the elimination, but again, No Brains being able to make it out of there.
But still keeping No Brains on the back foot, and keeping him right up in that middle part, even keeping him farther back, is just doing more and more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's better for Point Park.
I agree.
It is much better than what they were looking at last game.
Exactly. This early game looking much better, especially since, as we said before, just the fact that now that we're not allowing Mac University to get that initial pressure, it's allowing us to really focus on the overall game instead of focusing on trying to catch up.
Absolutely, and it looks like we have
look at
4-on-3 right now with Point Park.
Yeah. Ooh, and a big fight here,
big fight
imagining for the
out.
Dragon.
And
Revere getting the first elimination, and another elimination. Unfortunately, Callie getting another one. Ooh, but Point Park does look like getting it.
Hunting down into
and so
he's running away.
It does look like Point Park did win that team fight. Looking great for us, and Point Park will be going to attack that dragon, meaning we get 2 dragons of the 4 that we acquire. And that is looking great for us. Of course, the bottom laners, Soap and Megan, really handling that one. I think it's looking good for us. What was that?
I was going to say, No Brains being a very good, showing very good sportsmanlike conduct there, letting Almighty just kind of dance around a little bit, because we all deserve to have a little fun. May friendship bloom on the battlefield.
Of course. I love that.
And something we didn't see, we saw the opposite of last game, and now is Point Park's becoming greatest strength is leveling. Last game we saw MACU really holding that leveling game, being a significant portion above Point Park. Now Point Park holding that lead on average, 10-8, 10-8, and 7 being their levels. No Brains on MACU really holding the highest level at 11.
Yeah, I agree with that. And honestly, something I want to mention is just like it feels like a swap, like a mirror image, but this time around, Point Park University is on the end that they were previously.
And hopefully they don't end.
Exactly what I was going to take it. I was gonna say I'm hoping that Point Park understands what Mac University made what their mistakes were last match, and Point Park doesn't let that happen. And what is those mistakes exactly that we mentioned at last match? It was the fact that Mac University built pressure, but they didn't have anything to back it up.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Point Park understands that because they do have that pressure. They have a lot of pressure right now. But are they going to back it up with strength? Oh, and a big fight here going on bottom lane, 3-on-2, exactly.
Point Park making the dash out.
Oh, no. Highway getting pushed out. In the mid lane as well. Thankfully, we do have
that bottom lane. We are getting a huge brawl.
We did get.
And that's Rivero getting another kill.
There you go. The support from our jungler coming in to save the day, pulling our way through. Thankfully, making our bottom lane safe there. Close. Probably would have lost if Ribeiro wasn't able to come down there. But that being said, our mid lane is kind of faltering. So maybe Ribeiro might have to come up there and help out a little bit while Highway comes back and heals a bit. I think something big that I notice with a lot of Highway's characters that he plays is they require a lot of build up before they really become a very strong character, and which introduces a new kind of level into the game, which is your character choice and what kind of character they are. If they scale, or if they're really good in early game but like don't really scale that much, or if they're kind of crappy at the beginning but they scale tremendously. And I think,
Almighty seems to be taking a couple hits at No Brains there.
ooh,
Are we going to see? Oh, we got support. Is No Brains going to fall back?
does look like
We
they're
may
just
never
gonna sit
know.
there. On one of the things that annoys me about the observer camera in League of Legends is it just kind of changes mid conversation all the time. We don't really get the opportunity to really talk. It does look like Highway is getting 2v1'd here, but doesn't actually lead to anything. Does
Yeah,
seem like he's
holding
able
their
to hold the
ground though
ground.
in that 2v1, showing their strengths there.
But on another note, not so good for Point Park here. Does look like our bottom lane is faltering due to the fact that we did see Megan be on the top lane, completely opposite side of the map there, supporting Almighty, unfortunately, meaning that we had no protection on our bottom lane, which
Yeah.
gave a lot of advantage for Mac University.
But it does look like Point Park's going to make them pay for that with a 3-on-2 emerging in the bottom lane there. Very swiftly going to come into a large battle. We'll see how that emerges here in just a moment. Shots being fired. Very little
Ooh,
damage
and
being
Ribeiro
taken.
eliminating the Herald here. Oh, summoning the Herald, actually. Going to be pulling a big push on the bottom lane here.
Oh,
and this is an
wow.
introduction of why it is so important to eliminate those monsters in the jungle, especially the Rift monsters. And that does give us the first turret of the match going to Point Park University, taking up the bottom lane here. Another fight going on. Unfortunately, does mean we are going to lose a couple players on our team due to that. But we did get a really nice push, and it required a lot of focus from Mac University to stop that push, which means both the top and mid lane are fairly open for us.
Absolutely.
With that being said, why is No Brain so far in our top lane? That is a very odd thing to see.
Wait, hang on.
No Brains is
Almighty, turn around.
No, though, because he's all the way at the bottom there. Nobody's really contesting him.
Is he going to be walking right back up? Yeah, looking for a fight there.
Is that ambush from below, I think, maybe? It does look like it attempts so, but it does look like Almighty might have to be on the winning end here. Oh. See
Almighty
here.
picking and choosing his battles there
no.
very carefully.
Might have to
Almighty,
pull back
by
on
the
that
skin
one.
of his teeth.
Ah,
No Brains clutching
eliminate that one.
elimination.
Okay, again, Mac University did attempt to eliminate that dragon, but does get pushed back. Does look like Point Park bottom laners, including Ribeiro, is going to hold that strong and prevent that. Again, we're starting to see more of a losing battle in the top lane, though. It does seem like Almighty is struggling against No Brains here.
Yeah. This is a very different feel than the last game, especially.
I agree.
Very, very different play styles coming from both teams. MACU really seemed to spread out and try to just strategically attack, especially in that ambush by No Brains. Point Park seeming to travel much more as a herd now. Given that they are the pioneers here. And it's quite strange. I mean, they're holding their ground well enough. But will it be able to hold for long is just going to be seen throughout the rest of this match. We're now coming up closer to 20 minutes.
Might be a big team fight coming up here. We got most of Point Park grouped up alongside of all 5 of Mac University, really
like
fighting for this dragon. And I think,
we have some shots going out.
Initial shots. Initial attack going on. Hopefully we can see some sort of advantage here. I'm worried what exactly the plan is here, though, because everyone is kind of back and forth. Nobody just trading off shots.
Everybody
no
seems a
initial
attack,
right? And I think that's where the start of it, there it is. And this is a big fight going on. Does look like Point Park University is starting off strong, almost getting an elimination on No Brains. That's the first elimination on Almighty, getting that revenge there. Ribeiro getting another one and pushing it forward. No Brains eliminating Megan, unfortunately, though, but does look like Point Park University is going to win this matchup. Pushing away most of Mac University does give us the dragon, but in trade-off, we did lose both Megan and Ari from that. Apologies, we specify Highway from that.
And our score after that match now for the round being 6-7. have that 1 point deficit again, but even still, not as bad as the last round, especially now coming. We have now surpassed that 20-minute mark. Given this point last game, Point Park was what, 3 points down in a similar situation. Kind of struggling to hold their own. And now we are seeing them digging their heels, holding their ground, not letting MACU really take anything, while also holding a high level upper hand, which is just fantastic to see. That is truly just growth between two matches.
I agree.
You can really see
Oh,
that Point
wow,
Park
no
learned
brains getting that
from the mistakes they were
top
making.
turret there, unfortunately. Does seem like Almighty just struggling up against a 1v1 with no brains there. But with that being said, Ribeiro might come in for the support. No, gets distracted by a random monster in the jungle. What are you doing, Ribeiro? What was the support at?
Almighty's in danger, Ribeiro. Go help your man.
Oh no. Does pull away. Almighty does seem to pull back. It might have been the strategic plan there. Almighty was already pretty low from the original fight. Ribeiro coming in to come in for the fight there. Does it have the ability to 1v1 this one? Ribeiro really pushing it forward.
Wow.
Enzo maybe coming in to support. No brains, but who knows? We won't be able to see because the observer doesn't want us to see that. And we're going to be seeing more of a focus on the mid lane now. Megan and I think that was Highway playing mid, of course, the usual, but now it seems a little different here. Something I want to mention, though, is that Point Park University, again, is, I would say, well, okay, not as bad as last match, but MACU University against Point Park in the second round is more of a very close match. There's nobody with a lot of pressure going on. Point Park with the bottom pressure, and of course, as last match, top lane with max pressure. So it's far more tied here. So now I think what the big thing is, and what Point Park noticed is that
3-person ambush on No Brain.
Ooh, No Brain's going for that push. Might be a good elimination. Ooh, just before eliminating Highway, does get elimination on No Brains. But as I was saying, now that we have this kind of distinguished top lane Mac, bottom lane Point Park, the one lane that hasn't been decided yet is this mid lane. And I think both teams have noticed that, especially since we've changed up our lane balance here with a focus on the mid lane. And honestly, what worries me here is that Point Park started off pretty good, but they weren't able to hold it long.
Yeah.
Which means that you go ahead.
Mac showing some interesting strategies there, going in for just some quick hits on the middle lane there, and then immediately retreating once once 2 Point Park showed up. Even though they did outnumber them 3-2, choosing to retreat was a strange strategy to watch. I'm saying strategy because I am obviously not filled in on their comms here. But I'm curious to see how they were expecting that to play out. Now 4 Point Park players moving in through that mid lane.
I think something important to realize is that as I said before, like the focus right now is the mid lane and having control over it. So I imagine what Point Park was expecting was a heavy support in the mid lane, so they needed to build up some team before they started pushing that and not pushing recklessly, hoping to just get that a final hit off on that tower. But with that being said, Mac University didn't actually have that much against them. They were mostly still spread out, so they wasn't necessarily required for that. But of course, Point Park University doesn't have the eyes that we do.
Yeah, they're much more tied into this.
With that being said, though, we do have the appearance of, I believe, the Herald in the top jungle there. So I'm wondering who will focus on that. Actually, now that I just mentioned that, I think there might be might see Point Park pushed that a little bit, but there is going to be a big fight mid lane here, mainly in the river.
We are also now seeing a late game leveling deficit with Point Park here. No Brains holding 16, and Tuzo holding 13, and Kali holding 14. Max holding 13. Aaron holding 11.
Right.
While Point Park holding 14, 14, 14, 12, and 11. Which, from the beginning of the game, Point Park holding that very strong lead.
Right.
This is now shocking to see, and especially last game when this was reversed. Come later in the game, Point Park holding higher leveling. Oh, but Point Park showing up and ambushing No Brains.
Oh gosh. A big thing to mention
Oh.
is that with this big fight going on right now is going to determine a lot right now. Enzo getting an elimination, but trading off another one. We're kind of winning. It's more of a tie here. Almighty might be focusing. Ribeiro coming in to save. Ari getting an elimination, and it looks like Point Park University is going to be able to pull this together. Very, very nerve-wracking because if we lost that one, that would be bad for Point Park University because we played that.
Fantastic play there. That is a whole team down now. Point Park is taking advantage of that and making a swift movement towards their area, towards Max area.
That does mean we're going to be focusing on the mid lane. But one of the big things that I was really nervous about was that Point Park and Mac University split and decided on which monster to handle. Point Park handling the Rift, meanwhile, Mac handling the dragon. And then Mac was able to eliminate that dragon so quickly that they started pushing up the river and contesting Point Park's Herald. And I was really nervous that Mac University might have been able to steal that.
Yeah.
Meaning that they didn't only just get one, but two. So that fight was crucial for Point Park University to win. And I think with that win, that does push us quite ahead of the game here. I'm wondering whether or not Point Park will continue to focus on that Rift Herald. Obviously, the play was after getting that team wipe, we'd focus on the mid lane and really get that pressure. Now that we have that pressure on mid lane and bottom lane, is going to be extremely hard for Mac University to be able to really play off of what they have, which is the one pressure of the top lane.
Definitely for Mac, that was a huge, huge loss, and that absolutely gave Point Park the upper hand and gave them that those first steps to winning this second match.
Nerve-wracking as always, but let's look at the kills actually real quick. Honestly, the kills aren't really that spread apart. Of course, Ribeiro, as the per usual, getting currently at 6 eliminations, which does make sense for this this play style. But the enemy team is very spread out, of course. Ooh. Oh no. Silence from the casters. Silence from the casters. Unfortunately, it does look like Highway did get caught off guard, being soloed there. Or, sorry, not soloed. Getting ambushed and eliminated by himself. And while that was happening, it does look like the mid lane did get taken out by Mac University, which in other words basically means that Highway may have overextended that one a little bit. But with that being said, does look like Point Park University is not going to let that happen. We're going to be focusing
moving as a group towards the
Herald. I mean, nope, the Baron this time.
Baron.
Oh, that's a little saddening to see. That does give Mac University that opportunity again, but does look like they're going to be pushing up, trying to steal the Baron, but we're going to be able to eliminate that quickly, and it does look like we're going to be recalling back, which does make sense. Meanwhile, Mac is going to be pushing away, because I think Mac University has there's no way they haven't realized that Point Park is going to win the team fight. Yeah. They have been, and they will continue most likely. So now the focus here is really understanding what to do next, especially on both teams, obviously, but really what Point Park needs to figure out next, because we consistently have been seeing, right, as recently, a continuation of give and take, but our takes are a little bit better. But I wish they were a lot more better, if that makes sense. And actually, we're going to be doing a big team fight here in the mid.
Wow.
The first elimination on Megan, unfortunately, and another one, but going to Highway, going to be isolating some of these battles. It does look like we're going to be focusing on
wow.
it's a 2v2. Unfortunately, Soap getting eliminated. Oh, Mighty
Holding his own.
pulling his way.
2v1.
Get something. Run away. I don't know. Figure this out, and Mighty's getting stopped out of nowhere. Might be able to get one before getting eliminated. Does get
There
one.
we go.
Thankfully, trading that
Shooting the
out.
score.
And it does fizzle down the push from Mac just a little bit. Does look like getting caught off guard. Point Park
Being
University.
incredibly offensive right there. Getting, may I say, very brave. Walking straight up there on his own. And starting to do some chip damage in for what's going to be the late game.
It's a little scary. I was literally just talking about the fact that a team fight from both teams, Point Park is going to win. But I think that time around, Point Park just wasn't expecting it. Mac University ambushing them and just kind of taking the upper hand there, unfortunately.
Absolutely. That was just something it didn't seem like Point Park was very much expecting.
Exactly.
And Mac saw an opening and made that move.
This second round has been far closer than any. No, let me just actually. No. This final has been far closer than any match that League of Legends has played this season, and absolutely nerve-wracking for the casters. I can only imagine how it feels as the player right now. We have really seen the kind of second wind from Mac University, really not allowing Point Park to get that upper hand that we were able to get last match.
Absolutely. It is very, very clear to me, again, this being my first time casting, that both of these teams absolutely deserve to be here. They are both playing an incredible
Clearly,
game.
yes.
It is incredibly close every single time, whether it's a full team match or whether it's one-on-one. Every single one of these players should give themselves a pat on the back after this, whether or not this means a Point Park victory. Just because these are such strong individual players.
It does look like a lot of pinging going on. It does look like Point Park is going to focus on the dragon here, which means that we would hopefully be able to get the fourth dragon we need to get that big bonus of power. With that being said, the dragon hasn't spawned just yet, but hopefully Mac University doesn't notice and react to that just yet. But there's a big moment for Point Park. Really needs to figure out the... Okay, let me start that from a different place. The fear right now is both teams just need that one thing to get ahead. And because Mac University may be on the lower end, but they really just need to find that opportunity against Point Park to really just push themselves ahead.
Absolutely.
And same goes for Point Park. We're ahead, but if we can find that moment that we can really declare that we are the ones stronger, it would look far better for us. But right now, it's so close, and everything counts so much right now. It's a fear. So let's see exactly what we're going to do here, especially since that Point Park is going to have to really play off of what Mac University is going to really have to play off of what Point Park decides here, because Point Park being the upper hand here.
Which is really goes to show the forwardness and the offensiveness that Point Park is showing here. That they are making very bold moves towards the enemy zone, and of really keeping them back and showing us that end game strength. That they are strong in this end game, and that is why they're here, and that is why they are confident they are going to win today. MACU obviously really wanting to take home that gold, but we will just have to see in the coming minutes.
So it does seem like a big focus, as I haven't really mentioned much before, and it does look... Okay, actually, let me change the subject here. We need a little bit more something changing. Mac University is kind of bunching up here in the mid lane, starting to push downwards. And the thought process, actually, is the idea that maybe Mac University might try to corner Point Park and get that opportunity and try to play that previous team fight once again where Point Park was ambushed out of nowhere. And it's a fear that I think that is what Mac University needs to find, especially up against Point Park, where once Mac University finds that opportunity and ambushes Point Park, we are kind of done.
Mm.
So, with that being said, though, Point Park has a lot of control over the map. Maybe not right now, but we had tons of control, which meant that we had a lot of time to be able to just farm and, excuse me, farm. Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
Thank you. We had a lot of space to just farm the jungle, farm the lanes, meaning we were able to scale it tremendously fast.
Mm.
So,
Baron Nashor being defeated by Point Park.
mhm.
And it
Ooh,
looks like
getting
Baron
caught
looks like
off guard.
MACU's moving quite swiftly, trying to ambush, but not going the way they expected.
They tried to
And
steal it, and unfortunately did not.
all 5 Point Park players moving as one
Mhm.
singular unit,
They do.
working together quite beautifully here.
So, remember a little while ago how I was talking about the separation between Point Park and Mac University, where Mac was focused on bottom lane or focused on the dragon, while Point Park was focused on the Rift monster.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a repeat of that this time, but except Point
Oh.
Park expected Mac University to believe that that was the play,
Mm-hmm.
and instead is going to focus entirely on the mid lane
Oh, wow.
and really push their way through.
No
with
brains
the-
stranded all the way down in the bottom, but all of Point Park moved deep into red territory.
Yeah.
No brains in airy airy
And so
but there we
leaving the
go.
game out of free. And it looks like Point Park University League of Legends team takes it home for the victory. So the rage quits happen from Mac, and we are looking great. That's the second match for Point Park, meaning we are looking wonderful for Point Park. I am so happy. How are you feeling? I'm so glad you're here to witness such a wonderful moment, such an like revolutionary moment for Point Park, especially just since that this is the first time League of Legends was able to get this far in their division,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, also win the season. I can only imagine how our seniors are feeling right
Yeah.
now.
It's incredible just how quickly they turned all of their bad situations into good ones, and they
Mhm.
made themselves worthy of this win and worthy of this title. They
Yeah.
should all walk out of here today proud.
I-
That is correct
yeah.
subtitle. History was made today.
I just want to say it, and it wasn't like just a one-sided battle. This was a fight really, really deserving. Both teams played extremely well. Thank you so much, Mac University, for making for this fight. And genuinely, it was such a close match. I'm so happy to see all of the players here today, really collected together, really enjoying, savoring this moment. Of course, our coach Chris in the center of it all, just really congratulating, probably giving his heart out. But I'm so proud of everyone. This was a moment in history. I'm so happy that you were here with me.
I'm glad to be here.
And I can only imagine how our seniors feel. And I think I might want to do an interview since they're actually here, uh, both Highway and Ribeiro being able to be here. I kind of want to have an interview.
Yeah, that would be very cool to get their view on this, because especially
Exactly.
you get to be a senior twice, once in high school, once in college, and
Exactly.
this is definitely something that these seniors will remember for the rest of their lives.
I agree. And I'm going to ask you a question.
Mhm.
This is the first time you've ever casted for the Point Park team. How would you feel about interviewing one of them? Because I think we have two, so
I'd be
we
happy
can
to.
Of course, wonderful. We will be able. So that sounds good. We can split it up. You could do whichever one you would like to do, and of course a clap. And I'm so happy to see
Applause
that
noise, applause noise.
applause noise. We can. Oh, this is so sweet. I'm so happy. Let's just have a moment of just silence. Just let them savor this moment before we even do an interview. But yeah, I'd like to talk about just the performances. If we can get that stat sheet up in a second here, we'll be able to really talk to them about how they're performing. But yeah, we'll be able to really talk it over between the two of them and really know the truth because this whole team played extremely well.
Yeah. Like I said, again, incredible performance. A 2-0 match out of 3 possible matches. Everybody getting to go home a little bit early tonight, get some good rest. And something else, too, that is important to note for everyone watching at home, that it is upcoming in finals week. You know, these students have been on top of studying and focusing on their academics. We're also able to show up today, come in and do what they love on their own, and really pull through on both uh, their academics on their own, and then coming here as a team and winning themselves a huge victory.
I agree. We're going to take a moment break here, and if we can get one of those two, maybe both, to go to interview, we'll do that in a moment here. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for enjoying savoring this victory of ours. If you would like to see another stream of ours, we'll be streaming in a moment. We'll be streaming tomorrow for the Valorant Gold Teams final as well. So hopefully we'll be able to see not one, but 2 victories in this week. And on top of that, thank you so much, Red Bull, for sponsoring us, for giving us such a wonderful beverage, and also RPC Video and Extron for providing us with the essential technology that we use to perform and give you the streams that you get to watch today. So we're going to take a momentary break, and we're going to split into the interviews. See you momentarily. We're good. Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much if you stayed tuned to listen to the interview of our 2 seniors in the League of Legends team that just won the season. Thank you so much for continuing to watch. How are you 2 feeling about this W?
Yeah, pretty good. It's good W. Yeah, feels good.
How are you feeling?
For me, it's an amazing way to finish the season, finish our time here at Point Park. So it's more than a blessing to do this.
I'm so happy to be here to watch all of this occur. Let's specify who exactly the 2 of you are. Ribeiro, as we mentioned before, playing such a great game for these 2 matches here, I don't remember what the second match was, but the first match getting 15 eliminations, and the second match whatever it was, but very well played. And then on top of that, we also have Highway playing, acting as our coach here, and also just playing extremely well and just being the mind in our gameplay. So I would like to ask the both of you, just like, how do you feel about getting this W? Like, what went through your mind throughout this whole final? Especially this is like the hardest game that you had to play for this season. What did through your mind?
Yeah, it's good. It was just we had to remember how we've been playing, remember the things we've learned throughout the season, as a team together, and just had to make sure we kept our nerves together, which we did, and yeah, we got the dub.
No, honestly, I agree with you there, especially with the nerves idea. It's just the big thing was what I feared was it would get to the point where, both because of how tough this match was, it would get to the point where it was more of a team of stamina and endurance, and which team had more of it. And I'm so glad that it didn't end up going down to that, and it was more just strategic play after strategic play. And I'm really happy to see that. And let me just ask, like, with this team that you've created, what were like maybe some of the highlights that you remembered of just overall like what happened this season, like some of your favorite moments?
Yeah, our bot lane really developed over the season. They had a good synergy at the beginning of the season. The synergy just kind of grew over the season, and they did really well throughout the season. I think bot lane had the biggest improvement overall through the whole season.
It's good to hear.
For sure. And then yeah, the top side is just solid. LeBron played his lane well, and Lucas played jungle well, and we just kind of played to the top side, let our bot lane
Yeah.
do what they do.
Yeah, I feel like for us, first last season was kind of preparation, to for this season, and this season was pretty much all about the mental. I feel like during our short practice, we had a lot of moments that we were behind, we were like losing it all, and we were starting to get stressed with, but we just like, wait, we just need to do this, and we should be able to win.
Keep
And
that
the
mindset.
victory came. So I need to shout out to this guy here. He has a lot of knowledge for League of Legends, and for when you play in a competitive way, it's important every detail. And this guy, he has a lot of knowledge of it, and he kind of like, you don't do this, please,
Right.
just don't do this. And sometimes, like with your ego, and it says like, but I want to do it, bro. Just don't do it. Don't worry. Like so it's good. So it's good. So a lot of kudos for this guy here, but for everyone plays really amazing during this season.
Right. And I don't want to keep you both too long because you guys need to celebrate what you got. Let me ask, as the seniors, what are you hoping for the future of this program, just in general, and how you feel about it?
Yeah, I hope it continues. I just hope people keep having fun out of it. I've made multiple lifelong friends out of this program, and I hope that continues throughout the season. That's the main goal of any program like this, in my opinion. So
Yeah, for me, I already told coach my appreciates to him, but also I feel like the esports family at all, it's something like everyone knows how maybe come to a college and etc. can be so stressful. But then you have like a space like this, to be with people that you like, to play a game that you like, so make your experience way better during the hard times in college. Makes sense. So it's really nice. So all the best for them, and now they have a high standard to be on. So keep champion.
Well, I'm so glad for the both of you. Thank you for giving us what a wonderful performance just in general. This was a very wonderful season to watch you all grow from the beginning of the LOL just competitive scene all the way to now getting this W, just making history before you all leave. And it's really good to see that. Thank you so much, both of you.
yeah.
And I think
Thank
with
you.
that being said, I would like to end the stream here. Thank you so much
Thanks
for watching.
everyone. Lara, te amo. Ale, tamo junto.
Thank you so
Good.
much. We're going to end it here for now. But thank you so much for watching once again. If you would like to see more of of us playing, you can go on the YouTube channel and watch some of our previous VODs, or maybe even the Swiss games that we had to go through earlier. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Our next stream will be tomorrow for the Valorant Gold team, which will be a wonderful performance of hopefully a wonderful victory. On top of that, it's going to be very close. I imagine very difficult game, but we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. This is Kago signing off, and off in the distance we have Hera signing off as well. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to end it here. Bye bye.